Good afternoon, everyone. As usual, I will just give a couple of seconds to allow most of our attendees to come in before we start the business of the day.
Yes, as Garba said, I see a couple people joining. I just want to say good afternoon and happy Wednesday. And we're going to give it a couple seconds here and then kick it off as always.
Okay, I think I will just start off, even as, the remaining attendees will be coming in, we'll just start off because we are far ahead of time. Sarah, can I kick off?
Yep.
Okay. Good afternoon once again. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, my name is Garba Yahaya, and I'm the training coordinator with the Temple Small Business and Development Center. The Temple Small Business and Development Center helps small businesses start and grow. We offer free one-on-one consulting and a variety of low to no cost webinars. We are proud to be part of the nationally accredited networks of the Small Business and Development Center, which has over 1,000 networks across the United States. You are here this afternoon for a webinar on customer relationship management basics. Being a webinar, all the attendees have been muted. However, we always encourage you to drop your questions on the Q&A or the chat box, and all your questions will be attended to during or after the presentation. A copy of the PowerPoint and the link to the recording will be sent to all the attendees. Without further ado, please allow me once again to welcome our presenter, even as she takes over the floor for the presentation. Ms. Sarah, you have the floor, and you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Garba, and hello, everyone. Welcome to another webinar at Temple SBDC. If this is our first time where you're seeing us, then welcome. We offer 20 to 30 webinars a month, so no matter what topic you're interested in, I'm sure we can find something that interests you. Today, we're going to be talking about customer relationship management basics. So as many of you know, so I saw some familiar faces on the list. You might have attended some of my social media webinars. I do a social media series where I talk about a different social media channel every month. And I've been doing digital tool webinars as well, such as marketing on a shoestring or how to use Canva or other digital tools that can help you with your business. And customer relationship management tools are also very helpful for your business. It's not necessarily from a digital marketing perspective only, from an e-commerce perspective, right? How are you going to be able to get online and sell your products online and keep track of your customers? So in case you've never heard of a CRM tool before, that's the acronym we're going to be using a lot. I'm not going to say customer relationship management every time because it is a bit of a mouthful, but we want to make sure that you know what it is, what it means for your business, and then how to choose the right one that fits your needs. So as Garba already said, we're part of a national network and we offer one-on-one consulting as well as programming like the one today. If after this session you are interested in learning a little bit more about the next step for you, you can always sign up for one-on-one consulting at absolutely no cost. At our, there's a registration link just on our website. I will also put the email where you can email us and get that registration link in the chat, but we make it very easy for you to find us and get that counseling if that's what you want your next step to be. And then really quickly, before I jump right in, who am I? My name is Sarah Mailloux, and I'm our program manager for digital transformation here at the Temple Small Business Development Center. So my goal is to provide you, the small business owners, with tools and information and knowledge that will help you continue this entrepreneurial journey and do so successfully and with the end goal of increasing your profits, right? That's what we all want for you. I have experience in digital marketing and design, and I worked at the SBDC for quite some time, whether it was here at Temple or down in Delaware. I've worked in the Small Business Development Center network, and I've seen a lot of what you small businesses have struggled with. I'm a solopreneur myself, doing some consulting work with multiple different universities and nonprofit centers across the tri-state area. So some of these questions that you're asking yourself, I had also had to ask myself, especially one that is very important is what do you want your customer relationship management strategy to look like, and other tools to help you with that. So I would just be curious if anyone on the chat wanted to just really quickly put in the comments if you currently use a CRM tool, or if this is very new topic to you. This is obviously called CRM Basics for a reason, so we're going to go right through the gamut. But if some of you are already keeping track of client information or contact information or anything, even just like in an Excel document, I would just love to know if anyone has anything that they're using already. All right, Rich uses Salesforce. That's great. Some people said they're brand new to this. So hopefully everyone can get a little bit of something out of this session. Like I said, we're gonna move to the agenda now. We're gonna talk about what customer relationship management is from big picture, because there's no point using digital tools if you don't understand what that is doing for you and your business. Besides automating things, yes, and making your life easier, yes. Are you getting what you need out of it in terms of smart goals that will push your business forward in a way that most makes sense for you? So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. And then we're going to talk about some terminology. We're going to learn some business terms today. I think it's really important for small business owners to get familiar with some key business and tactile acronyms that are used very often. I am cognizant of the fact that many small business owners don't have business degrees, but when you're thinking about what customer relationship management means to you, we're going to talk about CX and UX and CI, and I'm going to explain all of that fun stuff. Then we're going to talk about CRM basics. So what do you want your CRM to do baseline when you're picking what you want to have happen next? Then we're going to assess the needs and pick a CRM platform. And I'm going to give you a ton of information on the pros and cons of different platforms, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A. So as we jump right in, we're going to get right to the grid of it. What is customer relationship management? Some of you that, you said you used Salesforce, you probably already are intimately aware of what customer relationship management means and why it's so important. But the term CRM is used in two different ways, and I think it can be very confusing for people when they're not familiar with what goes into this process. So CRM, customer relationship management, is just in general a business tactic. It's managing your customers' relationships. So we're not even talking about digital tools yet. Whether you use a digital tool or not, you should be, as a business owner, considering how am I managing my customer relationships? Am I using data to understand them better? Am I keeping track of information with them so that I understand them better and create that human contact that creates long-term clients? These might be questions that you've been thinking of maybe in your head, maybe they pop in and out every once in a while. But as a business tactic, customer relationship management is taking all of those floating thoughts in your head and then actually doing something with it. So it is a tactic to help you with your business. But as we're going to talk about today, since I am our program manager for digital transformation, I'm going to be talking about digital tools, which is also CRM. CRM is also just plainly what people call the tool, a CRM platform that is a technology that you use to manage customer relationships, find leads, add potential customers, and track interactions with customers automatically for you. So it's both, but it doesn't always have to be both. Whether you're using a CRM tool or not, you should be considering what customer relationship management looks like for your business. But why would you maybe want a tool? The goal is that it will help you capture new leads and move through a sales process easier. So finding out where people are falling out. Are they falling out at your social media? Are they falling out at your website? Was it the price? Why did people not come back? Why are people coming back? These are all questions that you might be considering. You can also support and manage relationships with current customers so they keep coming back, right? And it obviously boosts your productivity and lowers overall costs because you can integrate marketing and sales and many things into a CRM. This image I have over here on the right kind of encompasses many of the things a CRM will do. So for the person that said they use Salesforce, in essence, Salesforce does all of these things, right? It helps you keep track of your relationships, how often you've contacted them, maybe there's a calendar. It integrates into your email so you can keep track and search of all email interaction with a client. You can set it up to have like notifications for you where it automatically follows up with a client or sends you a notification to reach out to someone at certain respective points in a project. It's a file manager for all your documents. And you can also use it for marketing and sales calls. But that is just scratching the surface, because the biggest thing with CRM is the data. So if any of you have heard in the news that there's always some big data scandal, right? Or big data is the hot topic in fintech right now, is how are people using big data and purchasing data from people and trying to get your personal information and all of that. A CRM allows you to create your own data so you understand your customers. And that is really important. The reason you maybe Google something and then get ads for it is because of big data. And it's because of the way they're managing their customer expectations there. Same thing with Target. When Target sees that you've searched for one thing and then offers you other things that are similar or complementary, that's all the work of a back-end system that's probably a little bit more advanced than a CRM tool a small business would use. But the point is, it is still customer relationship management in essence, using that big data. That is really key. But what does it all boil down to? Whether you use a tool or not, like I said, customer relationship management needs to do these 4 things. And if you're already using a platform, I encourage you to consider, does your platform do this for you and how successfully? It needs to fall in line with your customer strategy. So you need to know who your target customer is and have some market research on maybe how they're interacting with you, what they're interested in. Are you segmenting your customers in any specific way? Older demographic versus younger demographic. A CRM can help you with this, but you also need to be able to define this for yourself, regardless of any digital tool. Do you know who you're trying to reach? Have you done any market research? And if any of you have attended my social media series, you know that I say in every single one of them, this is great. Social media is a great tool, but unless you know what your strategy is going to be, it can be very difficult to move them through a sales process. Now, what do I mean by that? The next step here is customer acquisition. So yes, you need a strategy to find them, and then you need to still acquire them. So it's not enough to just know who your customer is. You then need to be able to get them to find you, right? It's one thing to find your customer, then they have to find you and then be interested in what you're offering. What does that look like? Inbound and outbound activities, cold calls, email marketing, reaching out to them, having a social media platform, direct messaging people. But you need to figure out what it means to acquire a customer for you. And then you actually have to have a legitimate sales experience for them. So then you need to sell to your customer and have it be a good and pleasant experience so that they follow through on that sale. And then you need to think about how you're going to retain that customer. Let me just look in the chat. Regina asked, do we have a list of platforms? Yes, we're going to get to that. Okay, that's part of the PowerPoint. But what I want to talk about right now is, before we even pick those platforms, is what it boils down to. Is a platform, or whether you're going to do it solo with no digital tool at all, doing these things for you. And you need to make sure your business can handle the entire sales process here. The strategy, how you're acquiring people, how you're going to close that sale, and then how do you retain them after the fact. So here are my reasons to use a CRM tool. I just said you may not want to use one, but because this is a digital tools webinar, I'm going to tell you why I think you might be interested in one. Like I said earlier, customer attention and segmentation is really key. A lot of small businesses think they should market to everyone, but when you market, because they're just trying to find what sticks. But when you market to everyone, you're actually marketing to no one. You need to be able to segment your marketing, which is really difficult to do if you're a one-man band or, a small business with very few employees. And maybe having a CRM that can automate some of that segmentation, where if you have a list of all your clients and you know where they're located, for example, a CRM can send out 2 different email marketing campaigns, one for people in Philly, one for people in Pittsburgh, so that you're not just sending one to everybody in Philly and Pittsburgh and having it be too general. You can really start to specify information that you're sending out, and that increases customer retention. Obviously, a no-brainer is higher productivity. It's a time saver. A centralized database. Many small businesses don't think enough about the data, which I think I already drove home a little bit earlier, but data is really, really key. It helps you forecast. So this is one of the things that will really help you, especially if you're trying to maybe get a business loan, or if you're just trying to figure out how successful your business is going to be over the next couple of years, if you're trying to plan a new expense, either personally or professionally. But many CRMs have built-in forecasting for you. So you can see, based on how many customers you have and how many of them do repeat purchases and how often they repeat purchase, what your sales are going to look like in the future. So if you know you have customers that always buy 500, let me think of something. I don't know, packages of paper. I'm just using the office. Let's say they have 500 packages of paper they buy, and you know they're going to buy that every 3 months, and they've been doing that consistently. The CRM can start to track that data and show you that you can expect what it would look like if they continue to do so, and what you can expect your profit to be like. So that is something that you could also do manually. You could probably even use an Excel sheet to do. Not necessarily as easy as having a CRM that kind of aggregates it for you. And of course, you want to lead to higher sales because it helps you with the process here of what it boils down to. It's not enough to just have the strategy. It's not enough to acquire customers. You need to close the sale and hopefully retain them. And you need that to get sales. So it's important to have all of this no matter what. But a CRM can certainly help you automate many parts of this process. Some of my other favorite pros are just that the reporting is trustworthy. It's all accurate data. The dashboards are visual. Like I said, a lot of people get really scared about data, big numbers. How do I accurately understand what these numbers mean? Many CRMs have a dashboard that shows you the data visually, so it's really easy to understand. You can improve your messaging with automation, like I just said, with that segmentation. So it's easier to get the right message to the right people. You can be more proactive in your service because, like I said, CRMs can do auto notifications or auto emails. So you can get ahead of the game before someone even wants a service. For example, I go to Jiffy Lube to get my oil changed, and normally get your oil changed, maybe every 5,000 miles or every 6 months, whatever it may be. Every 6 months, like a clockwork, Jiffy Lube sends me an email saying, hey, we noticed you probably need to get your oil changed. Here's a coupon. Every 6 months. They're thinking about it before I'm thinking about it. And that is a proactive service. And that's part of why I keep going back because they remind me that I need to go. So you can do that for your clients as well. Automation obviously is a huge time saver when you're a small band, like I said, and it's really easy to collaborate with others. So if you're not the solopreneur, if you're someone who has a team of maybe 4, 5, 10, 20 people, it can be really difficult to collaborate, especially as the number gets bigger. In a CRM, you can easily see moving parts on like who emailed who and who's doing what. So we'll talk about that more in a second as well. But those are some of the benefits I want you to think of as we continue. And this is the big pincher that I want you to consider is think about what the CRM means for you. That's what we just did, right? We said how you need to get through that sales process, why it's beneficial for your business. That's great. This is the first step. You need to consider what a customer relationship management system could do for you and how managing customer relationships is important for you. But it is not a one-way street. You need to know what it means to the customer. So, like I said, how do you acquire and keep a customer? There are many things that will benefit your business, but you need to know what customer relationship management means to the customer. And what do I mean by that? We're going to hop right into that next. So some of those techie jargon that I was talking about earlier, maybe you'll come away from this session and you'll know a little bit more about what tech is all about doing. Some of you might have even seen like on LinkedIn or, Google and the Amazons of the world are always hiring UX designers or UI designers. What is that all about? This is what I'm talking about here is the user interface, and then we're going to talk about user experience. Now you might be saying, Sarah, your title says user interface, but the 7 C's of the customer interface, that's different, right? It's CI. Technically, you'd be correct. CI and UI are not always the same. For anyone who's taken some basic business courses, or maybe your business does this, the end user is not always the same as your customer. For example, a customer for a baby toy might be the mom because that's the person you're trying to sell to, but the end user is the baby. So you need to make it user friendly for the baby, right? Same concept here, but for most of you, user interface and customer interface are probably the same thing. So feel free to use them interchangeably where it makes sense for you. But either way, I think the 7 C's of whether you want to call it customer interface or user interface are really important. And what do we mean by this? What is UI? That's such a fancy word, right? When people say, oh, I'm a UI designer, it sounds so intimidating almost. But all we're talking about is what does it look like when a customer is interacting with your business? What's that first interface they reach? That could be a website, that could be an app. That could be your store, technically, I guess, but interface normally means something digital. What is that initial user interface that they're interacting with? This is also why a CRM can be really helpful for you. Many people build CRMs into the back end of their website. But when people are coming to you, you want to consider, is your layout easy for them to understand? Is the design aesthetically pleasing? Does your site make it easy for them to immediately go and buy something? The harder you make it for a client, the more people are going to fall off through a sales process. So you want to make sure the interface is easy and provides them exactly what they're looking for. Does it have the right amount of text, picture, sound, all of that good stuff? Does it connect with them with the information they're looking for? And does it allow them to communicate with you? So these are the 7 C's to consider. They won't mean that it's for every single business. If you're not selling online, you probably don't need a commerce, if you are selling a standard product, maybe you don't want part of your website to be about customization, etc. But it's something to start thinking about, because when we talk about CRM tools, many of them can help you with this initial contact, with this user interface. How easy is it for you and the customer to interact with each other is really the point of this slide, is whether they're coming to your website first or you're sending a cold email first, is the interface enough for them to then move through that sales process we've been talking about. And UX. So UI, UX, they go together a lot. UX just stands for user experience. So you can see I kind of made a math equation here for you. The user experience, and you'll notice this seems very similar to the 4 little charts that I put up earlier, is you have to understand the target market, right? You need to know their persona, because each person is going to have a different persona, but you want them to experience that you are meeting what they need as a person. You understand their persona, you solve their problem. Many people forget that, not everyone has the same problem. You need to be able to solve a problem for them. And then have the right strategy, objective, or features through your user interface, through your CRM for your strategic contact with them, to then get them to the solution they want. And if you check off all these boxes, you get someone happy. And if you don't check off all the boxes, you get someone sad. But what does this look like in practicality, right? All of this theoretical stuff might be a little confusing. Think about the little paragraph that I put here at the bottom. From the first time someone reads a blog post on your website, or maybe they sign up for your newsletter, to recording all of the sales calls you've had with them, any lead qualifications, having it all in one central location can help you manage everything that you're doing with them. And then beyond, right? You've acquired the sale, you're retaining the customer. CRMs can also help you send proposals, send contracts, send billing information, keep track of when people have paid or not paid. And that is obviously very easy for you, but it also makes it easier for the client, right? It gives them a user-friendly experience that makes it easier for them to make the solution to, yes, I want to go back. Taking that Jiffy Lube example again. They made it so easy for me to keep coming back because they sent me an auto notification. They sent a reminder to me, which was helpful. And they even gave me a $10 off coupon, which for them probably isn't much in the grand scheme of things, but it keeps me going back, and they made it easy. So that's what you want. You want the customer experience to solve their problem and give them a solution in a way that keeps it easy for them and gives them a valuable experience. And then, of course, CX, as you guys can probably imagine, UI, UX, UX is user experience, CX is just customer experience. And I only spend a little bit more time on this because, like I said, user experience, customer experience can be pretty much the same. But when you're a small business owner, you want to think beyond just getting a customer through those phases and enjoying the experience of interacting with you. You also want to consider the human element, because in today's society, we've moved past people being just interested in cold calls and emails. And we've even moved past people thinking it's cool when an ad shows up with exactly what they're looking for, right? Even digital marketing has become so inundated. What people really want is a human experience. That's what they're looking for. So if you can provide your customer with a human experience where they feel valued and heard, and like you are interested in their sale, it speaks eons above the businesses that are not doing that. So for example, here's a quote I took off of a CRM platform's site. Someone said, I went to Hawaii for my honeymoon. I went to a local art gallery. we wanted this painting really bad, but we couldn't afford it. So we asked the shop owner if they had prints that we could use or if they had a payment plan. And she said, unfortunately, they didn't, because the gallery person is also a small business owner. They might not offer all of those bells and whistles in terms of how you pay for something. So the people left unhappy, but they obviously didn't purchase it. So many small businesses might have a situation like this, right? Especially because you might be charging a premium for your product, which I encourage, because you're not going to compete on price with the Targets and Walmarts of the world. You're going to want to compete on what you can offer. But there might be people that say that price is too much. There are times where the person could turn away saying the price is too much, and you could just leave it, and that's a lost sale. But what happened to this couple is the business owner took down their contact information, and a couple months later sent them an email saying she's having an art show, and if you want to buy the painting before it sells, I'm giving you the option to buy it first because I know you wanted it so bad. And the couple was so ecstatic that not only did she remember them months later from a vacation they took and gave them the opportunity before anyone else that they bought it, and they have been rebuying paintings from that same local art gallery ever since. That is how you create a customer experience. So here's some really interesting stats for you. 94% of customers who had a positive CX would purchase more from that company, as we just saw in the example, compared to 20% of customers that had a negative experience that would purchase from the same company. So you can see the difference an experience can make in terms of retaining customers. 140% more spending from customers who had the best experiences. So when people have an experience that they like, obviously they will buy more. And 59% of customers will stop interacting with brands they love after several bad experiences. I think out of all the statistics on this page, that one is the most interesting, because you might say, oh, I tried one, I got a customer and I was good to them and I retained them and they were happy. But if after all of that, they start responding to you and you're not responsive, or your stuff is always out of stock, or you're being rude to them, or whatever it is, or you're not sending the bills on time, or they're not getting paid on time, or whatever the issue is, after several experiences like that, 60%, that's more than half of your customers, will start to turn away and go elsewhere, because it's not just about the organic human customer experience, but that user experience, right? You have to make it easy and convenient for them. And when you don't, they start to turn away. So why all of this huff and fluff right now? It's because this is what a CRM helps you accomplish. So let's talk about CRM basics, right? That's why you all came here. We're going to talk about what you can do with the CRM to help solve some of these issues. I think I just gave a really good argument for why it's so important. You want to make that experience good for the customer. You want to make it easier for you. What's a tool that can help you do that? A CRM. And there's three main things a CRM does, which is keeping track of contact, keeping track of interaction, and I can't remember this third one off the top of my head, keeping track of experience. So what do I mean by this? Whether you're going to buy a CRM tool or just keep track of it on an old Excel spreadsheet or in your Outlook, like someone said in the chat, you want to make sure you're keeping track of information like their contact information. If you're someone who takes credit card information, you could consider that. For example, thinking about that customer experience, there's something to be said for the fact that, if someone is a repeat customer and you give them a call and say, hey, do you want to order XYZ product again? I noticed you haven't ordered it in 3 months and you normally order every 3 months. And they say yes. And then you say, do you want me to just put it on the same card instead of having them have to give you their card number again or pay for it online or whatever it is? There's something to be said for that. What I will say, though, is cybersecurity awareness. If you're taking anything confidential like a credit card, please be aware that you should be saving that somewhere much safer than an Excel sheet. But just an idea of some of the information that you can track that is good for you and makes it easier for the client. Business information such as employees or emails for the point of contact. So if you're dealing with another business, for example, that has multiple departments with multiple contacts, making sure you're interacting with the right person versus always sending it to the general inbox or always sending it to the assistant and having to have her sort it. When you start to remember the right point of contacts, it can make that experience better. Any sales they've had to date, because like we said, you can do forecasting, any repeat needs. Like I said, at website, address, type of customer. So they are a big, medium, small customer. Do you consider them to be more important or less important to your overall sales strategy, et cetera, et cetera. This is all stuff that you can track even without paying for a CRM. But it's all important because it's going to keep track of information that can then help you continue to contact these people and consider what you can do with them in terms of the reports. But what can a CRM do beyond this? Lead scoring. So it can help you determine what leads will come out of these contacts. You can keep track of things like company size or these multiple contacts very easily. You can put notes history, maybe even in there, like XYZ person from department is very finicky, like make sure you always reach out to them politely, whatever it is you want to put in there about notes. It'll help you they make dashboards, right, about sales pipelines, and their reporting can be much more detailed. But that's the difference. And either way, whether you go for a CRM or not, you should be keeping track of contact information. And then you want to keep track of interaction. So we need contact and we need interaction for you to be successful at customer relationship management. So picture this: a prospect enters their information on your website. Many people do that, right? You might have a newsletter or find out more button on your website where people put their email, and it automatically goes into a CRM that then sends them targeted ads, sends them automated emails saying, reach out to us for more questions. And that is moving them through a marketing funnel slowly but surely without you having to do anything. And then you can also maybe have a notification sent to a sales team that, where it tells them to reach out with a warm email, logging each interaction so you know if someone is biting and at what stage in the process they bite. And then by the time the prospect is ready to buy or sign a contract in this example, you have a full picture of every touch point they have experienced to date and at what point it was worth it for them to then start reaching out to you. So it's really important to consider all of the types of interaction because that helps you understand what is working and what is not working. And a lot of it can be automated essentially on a CRM. So number of times spoken to a client, number of emails, summary of the discussions. Like I said, automatically sending the bills out, automatically seeing when payment was received. Those are all things that you will want to keep track of because also when you're a small business owner, there is some level of, security that you need to be aware of, not just cybersecurity, but business security, right? You don't want a customer coming back and saying, oh, I never received that product, or, oh, you never sent me the bill and that's why I haven't paid, or I never said that, or I thought you said this. If you can keep track of information at every single time you've talked to a client like this, it really prevents as much liability on your part, because you can go back and definitively say, no, on December 7th, I sent you XYZ, without having to score through Outlook or be like, oh my gosh, I can't remember if I called and said that. Here you can just understand exactly what that interaction looked like. So it's good proactively, and it's also good looking backwards to prevent liability. And then you're going to want to keep track of experience. So like I said, experience is big. Experience is what keeps the customer coming back. Companies that work consistently on improving customer experience experience a 92% increase in customer loyalty and an 84% increase in revenue. So you really want to know, after all of that contact and all of that interaction, they had a good enough experience for the customer to keep them involved. This is a very abstract abstract concept. Many of you might be saying, I have no idea how to keep track of experience. I don't even know where to start. That's why a digital tool could be really beneficial here, because you might have it send out an auto customer satisfaction survey after they complete a purchase, or you can cross-reference different customer satisfaction scores in one of the CRM's dashboards. You can have it set up to send in an auto check-in with your customer every 6 months, for example, where it sends an email to them and says, how are you doing? Let me know if we can do anything for you. These are all things that you can track and then figure out, is there something I could be doing better? But you're also keeping yourself on the pulse of the of the customer in terms of that human interaction, making them feel valued. So besides moving them through, interacting with them to smooth the experience for you to get a sale, are you tracking that the experience is working for them and keeping them engaged as well? So when I think about CRM, thinking contact, interaction, and experience, those are the three big things you're going to want your CRM to do. But of course, it can do very much more because it's a digital tool and there are many other benefits. So it can also help you in terms of having all of your information in one place and also on all your devices. So a CRM is a platform that you put a username and password in for, so you could find it on your computer or put it on your mobile or log in on a different computer if your original computer was unavailable. versus having some information on a sticky note, some on Outlook, some in the back end of your website, and having to kind of look and search for information. You can have it all in one place and easily accessible. Many people use CRMs to book appointments or set alerts. So kind of like a scheduling system, like a calendar system, but all combined together. Like I said, sending invoices, making it easy for you to get your money, and integrating data with other apps. So one of the best things about a CRM is you can then integrate it with other platforms. So for example, if you like email marketing and you do it through Constant Contact, maybe you could integrate that into the back end of your CRM so that when it sends those targeted emails, based on the segments that you've created with your data, you can then have it go through Constant Contact and be a pretty email versus, just like a black and white email from Outlook, for example. So there is a lot to be said in this space. But beyond that, what we've kind of talked about is Salesforce automation. So a CRM helps you with task assignments, lead assignments, scheduling, and interacting. Many CRMs are more robust than that, though. They also do marketing, like we talked about, emailing and all of that fun stuff, and servicing. So maybe creating a chat box or customer service FAQ, or helping people route cases about what concern they're having or issue they're having with your business or your business service. So there's a lot in diversity of what a CRM does. Not all CRM does all things, which is why we're going to show you what the different options are. But I just want you to know that CRMs are wide ranging. And if you're looking for automation for your business, this is a great place to start, because it's not only helpful for you, but it's going to really smooth out that process and help you understand how to make more profit. So I'm sure you all just want to see the list of CRMs at this point, but as I always do, I want to remind you to assess your needs first. Where do you start when you're picking a CRM? It's important to know what features you want, because they come at all different price points. For example, Salesforce is very expensive. Some of them are free, and we're going to talk about the free ones because I know people love that word. But they all do different things, and you are going to want to do something different than maybe the business owner next to you. So do you want to do campaign tracking of emails? Do you care more about the data? Do you want the custom reports? Do you want to integrate with other apps and platforms like your social media or your website? Do you want support? This is one of the big ones. Many small business owners are not tech specialists. So do you want a CRM that has an IT support person that you can email or call when you have issues? Some of the free versions don't have that. Many of the paid versions give you a support specialist. And scalability is a huge one, right? Like, how much do you want this to help you scale your business? Do you want your business to grow 200%? Do you just want to make your life a little bit easier in the meantime? That'll help you determine how robust of a CRM you need. So I want you to consider what makes sense for your business. And once you kind of know what you want, think about the customer journey, right? So you know what works for you. Then I encourage you to do a quick customer journey map. So I'm going to send you a copy of this PowerPoint. You'll get a link. You can click it here. This is a free template to help you figure out what your customer journey is. So like I said at the beginning of this PowerPoint, you want to consider how is the customer getting to you, because that will help you determine what you want to automate in your CRM. So this will kind of walk you through step by step, like you'll put where you think a customer's first contact with you is, what you do next, or what you'd like to do next. And once you have an idea of what this customer journey map is, from targeting them to acquiring them to selling to them, closing the sale and retaining them, that'll help you from that perspective as well. So a CRM, because it's customer relationship management, needs to work for your needs and what you think the customer journey will be like. So I encourage you to do a quick template, write down what you think the most important things are going to be for you. And then let's take a look at some of the options, right? So someone just put in the chat that they were thinking of Zoho. Yeah, Zoho's a big one. Zoho is one of the most popular out of the free versions, but there are a number out there and many are free. Some of them are incredibly expensive, and there is every level of functionality here. So this is a CRM Basics workshop on purpose, because for me to tell you every single thing that Salesforce offers, I could do that and it would take an hour. Or if I told you every single thing Zoho offers, I could do that and it would take an hour. But the idea here is, one, make sure you are aware of why this is important and planning it out ahead of time so you understand what you want to get out of this, making sure you're understanding what the customer can get out of this, and then giving you some of the options to start doing some of that research. But here's some that I enjoy. One, if you're looking for the free, and you're like, hey, Sarah, I don't keep track of any of that. Maybe you're someone who's like, I'm overwhelmed because you just said how important this is and I have no idea where to start. You could start with Google Sheets. It's not the prettiest. It doesn't do very much. You can see even on this chart I've got here that the functionality is essentially, it's a spreadsheet, but it does help you keep track of at least two of those things that we want to keep track of in a CRM, right? It helps you keep track of contact and interaction. You can create an Excel sheet that'll help you at least start to automate some of those ideas and get it all into one location. But of course, there are other options that are more robust that are a CRM. This is not a native CRM, it's a spreadsheet. You can look at Bitrix24, which has unlimited free users, and it is a CRM, but it is not a marketing CRM. So if I go back a second here, you can see that a CRM system can have all three of these options. It can be a Salesforce automator, it can do marketing, it can do service. Bitrix does not have any marketing. So if you were someone who was saying, I really wanted to have the automated emails and things like that, Bitrix24 might not be the one for you. That's why I talk about assessing your needs ahead of time. Zoho, as someone mentioned in the chat, is very popular. It's free for up to 3 users, so you don't get unlimited users, but if you're a solopreneur or, two-man squad, a Zoho might be everything you need it to be. It does have a CRM and it does marketing, but it doesn't have integration, so you can't integrate with other apps. It doesn't have as much of the functionality of some of the other ones. Zoho and HubSpot, I believe, are the most popular. They're the ones I've seen the most small businesses use because people like the free. So HubSpot has unlimited free users and it is a CRM and it has integrations, but it doesn't do as much in terms of the marketing. And of course, the most robust, the market leader is Salesforce, which is $25 per user. If you're just one user, then maybe $25 a month is worth it to you, but it is significantly better at tracking with data. It has all of the integrations. It has the marketing. It has the visual dashboards that you might be looking for, which is why it is considered the market leader. But these are just the 5 most popular. There are certainly a ton other, as you can see down here. Insightly is one of the new ones, Agile CRM, and then Streak and all of these other ones also do very similar things, but you're going to want to look at their website first and then decide if it makes the most sense for you. I want to take a look at the chat really quickly to see what we got going on. Lenore said Squarespace can be used as a CRM. And so there, I want to phrase that a little bit better because yes, to some extent, your website can be a customer relationship manager in that it keeps track of their contact information, their credit card information, all of that stuff. But Squarespace is not going to have the marketing applications. Like it's not going to integrate into an app that sends auto emails. It's not going to do alerts. It's not going to create data dashboards. So yes, to some extent, Lenore, the speaker was not incorrect. Using the back end of a Squarespace or a Shopify account, they have some functionality, probably more than a Google Sheet, honestly, but they're not going to be a Zoho, HubSpot, or Salesforce. But it is a start. And then someone asked, are CRMs connected or included in a website company like Wix? So CRMs are different. They are not created by website companies. So you can integrate into the back end of a website, but you can't go to Wix.com and look for a CRM because they don't have one. So that was another good question. But like I said, many small businesses will put a CRM and connect it with their website so that you can get those leads or you can get information when someone plugs it into your website. So that's really important information, but it's going to be 2 separate systems. And then Robert asked, if you use a free or paid version, can you download all the information if you decide to move to another platform? It's going to depend on the platform. For the most part, yes, because it's your data. And that might be one of those things that you'd want to assess when you look at the needs is, am I allowed to download all of it? Well, not are you allowed, that's the wrong terminology, but are you able to easily download the information or is it going to be difficult? And you'll have to do it manually because you own all of the data. So whether it's free or paid, you can certainly take all of that information and put it in a new system, but does it download as a CSV file and upload easily to another system? That's a question that you would have to look at the compatibility for sure. Someone said, is it easy to connect to a website? Depends on the CRM. So some of these free ones are not going to be as easy to integrate. HubSpot and Zoho are better at integrating in because they have the marketing capabilities. Bitrix 24 is a little bit more simple. It's really just meant to be a CRM. It doesn't have marketing connections and app integrations. And obviously Google Sheets doesn't do that. But I don't want to spend too much time on this one slide because I've provided you some other information too. I don't want you to think this is my only slide explaining the CRM options. This was me showing you the most popular and what you can do with them. But there are some things you're going to want to consider when you assess your needs. So this first slide is all about the free, because I know that's a big thing for people. So this one lists many of the most popular ones that I just had on the previous slide, and it tells you what you can do when you're trying to be no cost. So how many free contacts? That might be something you want to know. Like, do I want to have 2,500 contacts? And by that, I mean like business contacts, like your clients, et cetera, that you're keeping track of. Or do you want it to be unlimited just in case? Many of you might say 2,500, that's more than enough. But for example, the RayNet CRM only has 150 free contacts. You might have more contacts than that. So when you're looking at your CRM, you want to see how much you can get for free before you end up starting having to pay. Same thing with users. How many free users? Many of you might just need one or two. So this column might be, you know, a moot point. But if you're someone who has 5 or 6 employees and you want them all to be in the CRM, and Sitely, for example, might not do the trick for you at the free version. How much still data can you store? Some of them have data limits, and 100 megabyte is not that much. So you want to consider that. And then support, because I know support is really important. CRMs are complicated. They're technology tools. Each one's going to act a little bit different. So how much support will you get? Will people be there for you to call or email if you have questions? And you can see here as well, you know, Insightly is a really good one, I think, especially in terms of what you can get for free, but the support you'll get is just email. And you have to be aware of that going into it. Versus someone like Zoho, which does have a free amount. And look, it's unlimited. You can have up to 10 users and it has full service support for you. So that's something to consider. So when you're thinking about what you need, I want you to look at what the free is first, what works for me in terms of the free. And then you're also going to want to probably know what capabilities the CRM has. So this is a lot of information. This is a very unruly chart. So you'll all get a copy of this PowerPoint. Please do look at it in more detail. But what are things that you'd be interested in, right? Because some of you might not need multi-currency support, for example. Some of you might say, I don't want custom data reports, or I don't care if it has 24 hours report, but I really need it to have email tracking, in which case, as you can see, you would probably be able to pick any of these except for Bitrix 24, because like I said, that one doesn't do anything with marketing. But this one lists some of the favorites like Zoho, Salesforce, Bitrix, like I mentioned earlier. I don't think this one has HubSpot on it, which is a shame. But you can always Google HubSpot as well and kind of see what their benefits are. But it also gives you a price range. So as you can see, Salesforce is never free, but it's very robust. It's one of the most robust. Whereas some of these do have free versions. Base CRM is very expensive. And you can even see how people have rated it in case you were curious what other small business owners are interested in. But like I said, you're all not going to want the same thing out of your CRM. So I encourage you to look at the pros and cons of each of these. Now, if you're someone who's at the beginning, because I realize many of you might be like, a CRM, free or paid, is overwhelming and I don't have enough information. I also know a lot of the people on these calls are at the beginning of their business. Maybe some of you aren't, but I know that traditionally there are a ton of you that maybe are ideating or just getting started. And you might say, I don't even have the data to make it worth making a CRM yet. All right, maybe you were interested in starting off with something simple like Excel. One of my favorite things to do in a webinar is, excuse me, I didn't mean to turn the page. Also give you services to make it easier for you to take the next step. Just listening to me talk and gaining some awareness isn't enough. You need to know what to do to make that next step. So in case you were thinking I could make an Excel sheet and have it do everything I need it to do, I am including this here. And this is a link right here at the bottom, is a link that you can click to this template right here. So you can learn how to make a very simple, just like keep track of stuff in one place Excel sheet if that's the level you're at right now. And as you can see here, it keeps track of some of the very basic information you might need, such as the customer's name, company, what's the, you know, who's the contact? Is it the owner? Is it a sales manager? What the sale might be based on when you last contacted them, if that's appropriate for someone who's retail, for example, maybe it is set up a little bit different. but it's important for you to keep track of the last time you reached out to someone, what the next action is, or when you plan to contact them next, etc. And you can even add little notes about what you've done with them. So this is a great place to start if you're feeling overwhelmed by other CRMs. And Excel actually does a lot of really cool stuff. You can add little notes when you hover over something, as you can see, and it has an entire note inside of it. You can create a rule where, if the date is set as 5/25, then 60 days out, it turns it from green to yellow. So you know to do something and create your own like little alert. So there's a lot that can be done just in here if this is the level you're at. But if you're looking at a CRM, you can see the difference right here. Look, this is an Excel sheet, which is kind of ugly, but it does the trick. And a CRM has all of this. So for example, this is a dashboard with how many leads you've gotten, your revenue, any pipeline, lead generation, data, revenue for the year, and how much you've achieved and how much is forecasted. It can figure out all of that stuff. And also here's all of your contact. You can see all of the emails. It has the company. You can sort by, if it's been touched, what the activity was. So it's significantly more robust when you look at the inside of a CRM. So here's a case study, because many of you are probably like, well, you just gave me some idea of what some of them do versus others and the price point, and maybe I want to get started. But before you just jump in and say, well, after Sarah's webinar, I think Zoho is a good fit, go to zoho.com. This is what I encourage you to do for any of them that you're interested in. Go to that website. So this is an example based off of NetHunt CRM, which I don't think any of you will be interested in, but that's why it's kind of a nice, easy case study. But go to their website and see what they're saying. So for example, NetHunt CRM says that they're simple, intuitive, powerful. They're all going to say a lot of jargony stuff like that. They're all going to want you to know what their biggest feature is, though. So NetHunt is known for interacting with Gmail. That's their big ploy. So each of them is going to have some kind of pull for you that they're going to want you to come to. So for example, if you use Gmail a lot, then maybe NetHunt is really convenient for you. But I don't want you to get caught up in this, because almost every CRM interacts with email. So it's not like this is a unique thing that NetHunt does. It does have some customizable structures. Maybe you're interested in all that. But I encourage you to take a look at these bottom two things. Almost every CRM has this on their website. They're going to tell you why it's beneficial for a small business, because many of them know who their customers are. So I encourage you to look at ones that have small business in mind and figure out if what it has makes sense for you. And then of course, you have to look at that price point. Anything that has a free trial, by the way, I did not include. So just want to point that out here. Any of these ones that I've mentioned here on this chart or on this one are just free, period, unless it says clearly that they're something you pay for, like Salesforce. But none of these are just free trial and then you get pushed to pay. If it says free here, then it's free. And I point that out because a lot of CRMs are going to trick you into thinking, oh, it's free for the free trial, which is only 14 days, and then you're automatically going to get pushed into paying. And if that's not a situation you want to be in, then you need to be really aware, because they're all trying to get sales too. And as you can see, NetHunt is free for 14 days, but then it's $24 a month, which is pretty similar to Salesforce. At which case I would ask myself, does this do as much as Salesforce? Probably not. So is it worth it for you? You're gonna have to start doing some of that research. So now what? Now you've heard of the most popular ones. If you came into this session saying, I don't really know any of them, this at least gives you a baseline on what you need in terms of free, what you need in terms of needs for your business, and where you can start doing a deeper dive. But what I would really encourage is making a pros and cons list. I know this sounds kind of redundant, but there are so many things that a CRM does that it can be incredibly overwhelming to figure out if it does what you want it to do. So to do the research like we just did on NetHunt CRM, and then this is a pros and cons list template. And you can use this template if you want. I have the link to it in the bottom here. You might be saying, why do I need a pros and cons list template, Sarah? Well, it's because this one has values. So as you can see here, you get to decide the value of each of the things that the CRM does. So instead of just having a list of pros and cons, it's hard to tell if the pros list or the cons list is actually better because you are just looking at it based on length. You also want to consider based on how important each aspect is to you. So is Salesforce a little bit more expensive? Yes, you might put that on a con, but how much of a con is that to you? Is it a 4 out of 10? Is it a 7 out of 10? Is it like a deal breaker? Versus how many pros do you have? And if it needs to have email marketing, then you should maybe make that a 10 out of 10. And then it gives you a score at the top. So you can tell what is a better fit for you based on value, not just based on length of your pros and cons list. So I encourage you to take a look at that and go through this list of CRM functions that we've talked about. So does it have the contact management? Does it have the sales forecasting? Take a look at this sheet as a reminder of all the things it does and if you want it or not. And then it's really important to keep in mind, I think this statistic is really important, that you do not overwhelm yourself with, oh my gosh, I'm going to make the wrong choice. Because when people are looking for a CRM, this is a study done of over 500 companies, about 54% of people buying a new CRM tool in any year are updating from a previous site. That's more than half of the people looking for a CRM are updating it from a previous CRM. So if you start with a CRM and it doesn't seem like it's the best fit for you, you are not alone in that. You have many people that are doing the same thing as you are, which is trying to then update to what they decide. But of course, the whole goal of this PowerPoint is to help you figure out what you need ahead of time before you download Zoho, for example, and put all of your information in it and are tracking clients in there for 7 months and then realize that you really wished it could do XYZ, that it doesn't, and you would be considering switching. So this is to help you feel less alone in the fact that it's very common to change CRMs, but hopefully you can make a decision that's more beneficial to you in the long run. And then I'm going to just go through the chat and Q&A now in our last couple of minutes here, but I just want to remind you all that we are a digital transformation center of excellence. So if you want to speak with someone on a deeper dive, or you're like, I really want someone to go through specifically the pros and cons of Zoho or whatever it is, reach out to us. We have one-on-one consulting available to you, and also a ton of more free webinars if there's something else you're looking at. And in case you were interested, there is a webinar on customer relationship management systems happening on January 5th. So this is CRM Basics. This is me going over the basics. And then we have a guest speaker coming in on January 5th to kind of go into more detail. So if this is something that you're interested in looking at the next steps with, feel free to sign up for that webinar right at the start of the new year. So let me see what we've got in the chat and Q&A as we finish out our hour here. Someone said free CRM sounds great, but do the free companies use your data in some way to make money? They are not allowed to use your data. Your customer data is your data. So I don't want you to think that just because they're free, they get to use your data in any way. That was a great question though. Thank you for that question, Robert. How do the free ones make money might be a follow-up question. And a lot of it is from ads and marketing and the limited functionality. So for example, your CRM might have ads that pop up on it, or they limit their functionality and things like that. So it is what it is, but that's what you're getting when you go to a free account. Someone asked if you'll receive a copy of today's PowerPoint slides. Yes, you will, within 24 hours. We like to get those out really quick. And then Garba put a link to our survey in the chat. So if you could all just let us know how this session was. It's just a 4-question survey. So really quickly, you can let us know what you liked, what you didn't like. If there were concerns or things that you wish we had covered that we didn't, please let me know, because I'm always refining these PowerPoints. There's a ton to be said in anything about digital marketing. So I try to cover the basics in a basics webinar, and then we give you a deep dive. But hopefully this at least got your mind thinking about why this is important, what you need it to do, and then gave you the names of the most popular ones that small businesses just like yourself are using, so you can then start to make the choice for how to keep track of all of this information. Someone asked for the one-on-one consult, should I reach out to the SBDC consultant, or is there another rep that deals with CRM specifically? You can just reach out to your business consultant, and if they don't feel like they have enough information, they will send you over to our digital transformation specialists. But we do have people that can talk to you about CRMs, and most business consultants have that baseline knowledge as well. I'm going to keep looking through the chat, Garba, but if you want to do the closing comments, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you once again for a wonderful presentation. I also want to use this opportunity to thank all our attendees for keeping it a day with us. And once again, to my special, wonderful co-workers, my co-colleagues with the Temple Small Business and Development Center. Once again, I want to thank you guys for your usual cooperation, for your hard working, for making it possible for this webinar to come to pass. Mr. I think we don't have any question on board again.
Yeah, I see some stuff in the chat though that I want to make sure I address really quickly. So someone said the link to the Excel sheet wasn't live. Yes, it's because it's a webinar, so you can't click on the screen. But when you get a copy of the PowerPoint, the link is live. So then you can get the pros and cons template, you can get the Excel template for the basic CRM. All of those links are live in the PowerPoint that you get as a PDF after the fact. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if Zoom even has that capability where you can touch the screen and have it do that. And then someone said, is Zoho paid identical to Zoho free? Zoho free has a lot of functionality. I think it's really cool how much unlimited it allows you to do, but Zoho paid has more of the app integrations and functionality in terms of like service and marketing that the free version does not have. So you're always going to get more with a paid version than a free version. But like I said, it's worth doing that due diligence to see if the extra bit more is really worth it for you. In many cases, it probably isn't. As a small business, you don't need something robust. But like I said, when we're talking about assessing needs, assess your scalability. If you want a CRM that's going to help you grow from 20 clients a year to 500 clients a year, you might want something that's paid and has more of that integration. But if it's doing exactly what you need it to do on the free, then there's no reason to move to a paid. I know sometimes it always seems like going to the paid version is the next step, but not always the case. As many of you who know, who attended my Marketing on a Shoestring webinar, there's a lot you can just do with free stuff. Does CRM integrate with email platforms like MailerLite? Yes, and Constant Contact, MailChimp, many CRMs. You just want to make sure that you look at the integrations list and that it has the marketing email capabilities before you commit to that CRM. Excuse me. All right, those were all the questions, Garba.
Yeah, once again, thank you for a wonderful presentation and do have a nice day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.